As you all know by now, our global project for 2025 is titled The Beaded Word. What do we mean when we say the beaded word? Well, I think the best way to show you is through several examples. So I've spent the last few days beating up a few words to help show you exactly what we mean when we say the beaded word. These are some examples that I've beaded over the last few days. And as you can see, they're all very different, not only in terms of the words that I'm using, but also in terms of the kind of letters and the way that I'm depicting each word. So we encourage you to use all kinds of letters, whether capitalized or not. We also encourage you to use different languages. We would love to see diversity in the word. So diversity in the kind of words that you're using, diversity in the languages that you're using. Our only request is that if you're using a language other than English, when you do mail the words to us, please do let us know what language you have used and what the meaning of the word is. So to create these, I started out by, of course, designing what I wanted each word to look like and what elements I wanted to add along with the word to make it more powerful. So stylizing every letter in the word, but then also creating a sort of world within this rectangular or square space that we're creating that helps emphasize the word that you're trying to convey. I really enjoy creating designs and patterns using graphs on paper and then different colored pencils. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of what my design process for these words looked like, and then of course you are free to use different methods that suit you and your work best. So here, as you can see, I have two different kinds of graphs. And these graphs are easily available on the websites of a lot of different bead stores. They have these available to download for free. So it's a really great resource, not just for this project, but also for beading in general. One of them is a brick stitch graph, and the other one is a peyote stitch graph. Although in this project, we're only working with the peyote stitch specifically, but both graphs work because you can use the peyote stitch graph to create words from bottom to top. So you would be beading from the bottom to the top of the word, going this way as you bead. And so your jagged edges would be at the bottom and the top of the word. For example, this one. As you can see, the jagged edge on fleur is at the bottom and at the top, and I have beaded in this direction. You can use the brick stitch graph to bead this way, from left to right or from right to left. And that would look something like this, where your jagged edges are on the two sides. And you begin beading either in this direction or in this direction. For this entire project, we will be working with even count peyote so that the turnaround that you have to do at the end of each row is easier to work with. And so I'm going to start out by using this brick stitch graph. So the jagged edges will be on both of the sides of the word that you choose. And I typically start out by marking out an even number of rows that I want to use. So say I'm just going to put a little mark here to know that that's how big I want the word to be. And on these graphs, it's really easy to identify because row 1 and row 2 have these dents. So you're essentially choosing one of the indented rows and then one of the rows that's not indented. And so you end at the not indented row and you start at an indented one. And now you can do your letters in really any way that you like. You can color in one bead at a time to see how you want your beads to be placed. Or you can also start by just writing out letters and then figuring out what bead would work well within it. So I'm going to start by showing you the word an, which is the letters A and N. And let's try and write this word in a more stylized cursive. So I would do okay, so there's an, and then to see where I would want my beads to fall, I would just go along the line and begin to color in and choose what beads would create the form in the best way. And you can really select any word that you like. We also encourage you, if you're having a tough time picking words out, we would be more than happy for you to bead conjunctions and prepositions and articles, because we will need a lot of those words to build sentences for the project. So yeah, if you're having a tough time deciding, it would be a good idea to start out with some of these, and then you can always slowly work your way towards words that you enjoy more. So so you continue sort of following the line to see where and how things might fall in place to create these letters. And of course, if something doesn't look quite right or the way you had imagined it, you can always come back in and erase and try and fit things in a little differently. And again, these are decisions that you can always make or change along the way, since you're just starting out. So there, we have an. And now that I look at it, I don't really need as many rows at the bottom with the word. So you have two choices here. You can either choose to shorten the width of what you're working with, or you can take the opportunity to add some patterns or different colors or designs in the blank space that you have here below. So this was the brick stitch graph, and you use the peyote stitch graph really in almost exactly the same way. So I'll also show you what can be done there. And this is our graph, and as you can see, the jagged edge is at the bottom this time. And you start by just marking out how big you might want the letter to be. So just a very rough guide of an even number of rows. And this might change as you continue designing. You might want to add more, you might want to subtract some, but I like to give myself a decent amount of space so that I can, when I'm laying out the letter, it's easier. So here I'm going to do the word which is comprised of just the letter A. And I'm going to try doing it in bubble letters. So we have, the opportunity to look at something different. And so you just begin by roughly sketching out how you might want this to look. And as I mentioned previously too, we always have the opportunity to go back in and erase and fix things and make it look different. But roughly, I think this is what I'm going to have. And then I begin marking out what I want the outline to look like. And here we also have, since it's a bubble, we have the opportunity to use the space within for a different pattern if you do choose to do so. And then since this falls as a very straight line, I would prefer to not have it that way. So I can always add beads around. To make it look more full and also to give it a more rounded feel as opposed to just a straight line. Then similarly have this portion of the letter. And the idea is to just really have fun with words. You can play around, like I said, with different languages. I'm currently working on doing some words in Hindi where, of course, the language is different, but so is the script. And so it's been interesting trying to place letters from different languages into these graphs. It's really a lot of fun, and we'll continue posting those to the Facebook group that is created for this project, and you'll get to see what everyone is working on. I do encourage all of you to take lots of pictures and continue sharing them with us, and you can post them either directly to the Facebook page or you can email them to us, and we'll share all the email information with the project info on the Noga Designs website. So here I have the A, and within it then I can grab some colored pencils and have either stripes or create little flowers within the letter, or play with polka dots, or just even like stripes going this way. The opportunities are really endless, but you can really have a lot of fun with mapping these out on paper graphs. That's what I prefer using because I like working with my hands. I like using actual tools like pencils and crayons and markers and color pencils. And but of course, there's you can always use things like Photoshop, and you can download these ready graphs so that you don't have to build the whole grid yourself and then put it into Photoshop and work on top of that. And there's also a lot of different beading programs available that you can use to play around with letters.